Hi, I'm Jonathan. I've been repairing the subframe of what is, I suppose, a hospital bed. It's a bed that will lift you up automatically and raise and lower and so on. And the frame has broken due to poor welding in the manufacturing. This is a frame, it goes behind your back basically. So when it broke, the actuator which pushes against this has pushed the steel out of shape and the whole frame is bent. This shows the brake next to the pivot, and this shows how the actuator has pushed on the broken cross rail, which in turn has bent the frame on the opposite side near the opposite pivot. A couple of the pivot bushes are also worn like this one, so I've had to make a couple of replacements on the lathe. So I hope it's of interest. So I've cleaned up the welding bench. I'll just get the piece of the bed now and have a look at it. Most of the weld here is not doing anything. If I go around here, this side wasn't even welded. As you can see up here, there's no weld there. You can see it's bent at the top here. To straighten up, it needs to come this way. Though simply pulling here, you can see the frame bends in the wrong place. I think I'll have to put a cut in here to help it bend. Try the hacksaw. Oh, that's better. Too far. Oh, this was that's about straight. I think I'll weld this up and then I can get the rest of it in position, and it'll bend hopefully further along here or further along here to open out and so on. I could do with a little grinding tool of some sort. I've used the MIG to just go across the top where I cut the slot with the grinder and the hacksaw. I haven't done the sides yet, so having welded it at the bottom, I can now bend the top to the right position, or the sides as need bending. The best way to do this turned out to be to clamp the broken side to the bench and then use a couple of long clamps to pull the other parts of the frame into position until the brake matched up and could be spot welded. Whilst tightening the clamp here to pull the cross piece down towards the end of the side pieces, you can see that the gap is getting wider, which is because the frame is flexing on the opposite corner, which is not necessarily what's wanted. That's got it about right in this direction. Just got to pull the sides into the right width now. I'm just taking it at the mid-level. Too far. .41 millimeters. depth. So that should be parallel across. I'm going to use this to get the width. This is a 1 litre vernier that I picked up in a job lot in a machineries sale. I've measured the width of the frame when it's in position, as can be seen here, using the frame in the other side of the bed. Right, I've got the width I need. It's 59.022 millimetres or 23.238 inches, and that's measured right at the end where my clamp is. If I take the clamp off there and bring it here, then I can put the vernier in the same place, because I know these sides are curved slightly. It wants to be there. I tighten it up ever so slightly. That's got it. Check it hasn't moved. 022. 59.022. There we go, mixing up inches and millimetres now. It's back in the right place. That's where it originally was. So I'm going to have to get a couple of spots on that to hold it in position. I'll put one down the bottom, I think, on this side. I can get to there. I'll try not to weld it to the bench. That seemed a good fit. Right, get this clamp off. Right, get this last clamp off that's holding it down to the bench. By now I'd borrowed this smaller grinding tool which lets me get into some of the corners where the larger angle grinder just wouldn't go. Though the grinding bits that come with this are very soft and they're not much good for taking anything other than the paint off, to be honest, but it does clean it up enough for a decent weld. How much left of this tip? That was about 8 or 9 mil diameter when I started. I think that's ready for welding. This is where I cut it with a cutting disc across here. Right, well that's done. Trouble is I've lost the brass bush, so I'm going to have to make one. Actually it'll need two, as the bush opposite the missing one has worn right through for 180 degrees. And as you can see, I didn't have any paint the right colour, so I had to use a machinery enamel dark grey. The material I'm using here isn't brass, it's more of a sintered bronze, I think, but it squeals on drilling, so I've turned the sound down. This bush is slightly bigger than the hole, so I've had to press it in. I've got a socket and a clamp, and I'm just going to wind the clamp in. Yeah. With both bushes pressed into the frame could now be fitted to the bed. Although it turned out that the bushes were slightly misaligned as I had trouble getting this pin all the way through. It just needed a drill putting through it. I've run a drill through this bush now. It was slightly out and stopping the pin going all the way through. There's a shoulder on the pin that was butting up against the bush. So hopefully this time it'll be okay. We'll see. Let's see if this pin will go in now. That's better. Just hope I can get the nut on without dropping it. Oh, that went on very nicely. Right, I get the pin? Can I get the pin into the actuator? Where is it? Right, I've taken the panel out of here and out of here. Give me some more access. Whenever I try to get the end of the actuator into the bracket here, it's got some really cheap plastic bushes that just push out. Got it. Well, it moves by hand. Does it move under power? I think this is the one here. And it's got to be tested under load. It's a hard job, but I suppose somebody's got to do it. Well, it's not been the usual sort of repair or video I post, but I hope it's been of interest. And thanks for watching.